to begin your WYCINANKI trees, you're going to fold your paper in half, hot dog bun style. So we're putting a crease right down the center. And we are going to be drawing half of our tree on the fold line. That is very important. So when you are drawing, you want to start at that fold, starting with the very top of the tree. So a tree, evergreen tree, Christmas tree, is like a triangle shape. So it starts off more narrow at the top, and then it gets wider as it comes out. And I'm just making a simple curving zigzag line. And you can see I make a vertical line at the bottom for half of a tree trunk. For a winter tree, I just do a wavy line like it's outside in some snow. So you can see if I open this up that this should be on the fold. So that way when we cut it, we will get a whole tree and not two halves. So if you want to do more a Christmas tree, you could draw half of a star. Now, if you can't just freehand it, you could always do like half of a cheat star. If you want to open the paper and then just kind of draw a whole star on that fold line and just make sure that half of it's on one side, you could do that. So for a Christmas tree, it's the same idea. Starts narrow at the top, wider at the bottom, your trunk. And then if you wanted to, you could do like a silhouette shape of like gifts. So making those like rectangle or square shapes to be like the outline of the presents. So once you have your outer edge line finished, you can go ahead and cut on the line. So our cutting today, we have to be very, very careful with. This will be the easiest part, cutting out just the outside of the tree. Our other cuts are definitely more intricate, and we have to be very careful with those cuts. So all of this excess paper is just scrap, so that can just be thrown away. So then when I open this up, I should have one whole tree shape. So I'm going to fold this back, and now what I'm going to work on are the designs. And you're going to see most of my designs are coming from that fold. You can do some that come from the like the outside of the tree shape, but just be careful not to do too many because you might lose that tree shape. Even mine, when I finish, I kind of wish I didn't do as many on the outer edge, just because I do like to see that silhouette of the tree. So you can see some shapes you can be intentional with, like I drew half of a star, and other shapes are just kind of random shapes. But notice the shapes don't go from the fold all the way over to the other side. Remember, you don't want to cut anything off. So what you're going to do is cut out those shapes very, very carefully. Again, I repeat, you don't want to cut anything off. You're cutting out shapes from your tree. So I'm going to go ahead and continue cutting each of those shapes. Once you've cut out all of those shapes, you can get rid of your scraps, and then you can get a hole puncher. We want to keep the tree folded. That way our tree is symmetrical. That's what's great about those WYCINANKI designs is they're very symmetrical or same on the both sides. So I am using the smaller tooth. There's two different size tooth hole punchers, so be aware of that. Make sure you're careful about where you're hole punching. Again, we don't want a hole punch to break our tree and split anything off from one another. We want this to stay one whole piece of paper with lots of intricate cuts and designs throughout. The next step is going to be gluing your tree down to a piece of colored construction paper. Make sure that you untwist the glue cap and make sure it's breathing. You want it to be working. So from here, you're going to be using a piece of construction paper and putting it vertically. Line up your tree first. So open that up, see what it looks like. We want to make sure that the bottom edge is touching the bottom of the paper. And you should have drawn that edge all the way out to the sides of the paper. So that way the side edges of the snow or the gifts fit in line with the construction paper. Now make sure you put the glue on the correct side. You want to put the glue on the side with your pencil lines. Now notice I did some glue lines at the bottom where I didn't have a lot of cuts. And now I'm just very gently tapping some glue on this. I'm not even squeezing the bottle. The last thing you want is to have this beautiful piece of art and then it looks like a kindergartner glued it. We want these to look like 6th grade art pieces. So a little bit of glue, that way it doesn't go oozing out all over the place when you place it on the construction paper. So I recommend by starting at the bottom, and if you don't use a lot of glue, you can kind of dangle that over the paper to make sure it's lined up. If you use a lot, that glue is going to be dripping right off of it. So gently patting it down, and then notice that, again, I'm just kind of going in some places that are still sticking up that need a little bit more glue. I'm just kind of tucking my bottle. So twist the cap, wipe it with your fingers, rub your fingers together, it falls right off. Put your name and a 60, your room number, on the back.